Welcome back, dear students, to the next session on criticism. I'll be introducing you to the concept of expressive criticism and objective criticism. I'm Dr. Vijayakshmi Naik, Assistant Professor, GFGC and BG Center, Dharwad. Here, I present before you the 6th and 7th sessions of Module 1 for students of BA 5th semester, Paper 1 Criticism, prescribed for Karnataka University, Dharwad, where expressive criticism focuses on the author, his emotions, and his biography. Objective criticism focuses on the literary work of art only. And if expressive criticism is employed in biographical criticism, psychological criticism, and romanticism, we see that objective criticism is more prevalent in art for art's sake, new criticism, and Russian formalist approach. Expressive theory of art believes that art can be much better than language at communicating emotions. Now, the complexity of a human emotional experience is better communicated through art, and literature is a form of art. Okay. Expressive criticism, unlike other forms of criticism, it doesn't focus on grammar, style of writing, or diction. What it focuses on is what is being said by the author. So it treats a literary work primarily in relation to the author. It focuses on the artist's emotions. Now, like most of the theories, expressive criticism also has its origin in Plato's theory. Yeah? Plato believed that human soul is split into three parts: the mechanical part that takes care of everyday functions, reasonable part that uses logic, emotional part drives our passions. Plato thought that ideal human society would allow the reasonable part of the soul to take over the emotional bit, and this is one of the reasons why he found no need to include poets in his ideal republic. The poet's appeal to emotion and art expresses emotion. Uh, it doesn't have much value, so he tossed it out. Now, the next exponent of expressive criticism is Leo Tolstoy. And in his essay, What is Art? Leo Tolstoy claims, and here I quote, activity of art is to evoke in oneself a feeling one has once experienced, and having evoked it in oneself, then by means of movements, lines, colors, sounds, and forms expressed in words, to transmit this feeling so that others experience the same feeling. What he's trying to say is an artist tries to reproduce in his work what he or she once experienced, and to reproduce it in himself and then transfer it to his work of art so that the same feeling is produced in the reader or the audience. So according to Tolstoy, the end result of art is to inspire emotion in the perceptor, which is quite different from the mimetic theory of art, which values the representation of a physical reality. Now, the name Expressionism comes from a cultural movement in Germany in the early 20th century called Expressionism. It is a German movement in painting, but later on it extended its access to other literary arts also. Expressive criticism defines poetry as an expression or overflow or utterance of feeling, or as the product of poet's feelings. Okay. Now, when we discuss expressive theory, we have to also realize that a longer work of art takes time. Poetry may be written in one sitting, but a novel or a play takes much longer. So the emotions experienced by the author are not the same throughout the time that elapses between the beginning and the ending of the longer work of art. There isn't a single state of mind for the entire production. So to view the activity of art in this way is simplistic and maybe even reductive. Okay. Uh, we have to remember that emotions are effervescent and they are fleeting. Uh, so that is something that we have to ponder upon. And can this be countered by using, Sigmund Freud's view of art as sublimation, art as sublimation? That is the analytical, art of sublimation is the analytic approach of explaining art through the lens of the unconscious desires. Can this explain how an artist can maintain an emotion for a sustained period of time? So think about it, bottling up of or bubbling up of consistently repressed emotions. Uh, can it be explained by that? So you can ponder upon it. Here I have taken the famous painting The Scream by Edward Munch, which epitomizes expressionism. This painting was inspired by a single momentary experience that Munch had while he was in France. And here I quote, I was walking along the road with two friends. The sun began to set. I felt a tinge of melancholy. Suddenly, the sky became blood red. I stopped, leaned against the railing, dead tired, and I looked at the flaming clouds that hung like blood and a sword over the blue-black Jordan city. My friends walked on. I stood there trembling with fright, and I felt a loud, unending scream piercing nature. Unquote. You can find this in Ashley Bassey's book Expressionism, page 69. So you see the figure uh, experiences this scream, and this emotion is not only experienced by the figure here, but the whole environment also is engulfed in the same emotion. The expressive theory tends to judge the work by its sincerity to the artist's vision or the state of mind. The romantic critic Wordsworth's, he defines poetry as the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings recollected in tranquility, which is taken as the ground idea of expressive theory of art. Um, Now, romanticism deeply affected our modern consciousness and literary commentary. And the main concepts of romanticism are imagination, genius, and emotion. So, unlike the objective theorists, expressive theorists believe in individuality, where the objective theorist's idea is that a poet's job is to stray away from personality. But here, individuality is given a lot of focus. And how a writer's life and times influences his or her work is studied in expressive criticism. For example, Shakespeare's plays, they show gay content. So we see Hamlet, he sees himself as a woman and as a prostitute. So we see that the biographical uh, data is very important when we take up expressive criticism. Now, biographical criticism, romanticism, Freudian analysis, all these are expressive criticism. As expressionism focuses on art, the true meaning keeps changing over time. And when something is expressive, it cannot be judged on the basis of facts because feelings and opinions, emotions are involved here. Other criticism tends to downplay the importance of the author while critiquing his or her work, whereas expressive criticism directs its focus on the author. And expressive criticism is more likely to be used with poetry, but it can also be used while critiquing novels. So now let's look at the fourth coordinate of criticism, methods of criticism, which is objective criticism. So let's first understand objectivity. What does objectivity mean? Objective is to be impartial, unbiased, unprejudiced, something to be neutral and fair. That is objective. Okay. And objective criticism is constructive feedback using only unbiased opinions and facts instead of emotions or personal preferences. So objective criticism deals with the work of literature as something that stands free from extrinsic relationships, whether it is of a poet or the audience or the effect on the world. Okay. Objective criticism is to be judged not by extrinsic relationships but by intrinsic criteria such as its complexity, that is the quality of the text. How coherent is it? Its logical quality, whether the text is balanced or not. Does the text have organic unity? Has it maintained all the interrelationships within the text? All these things are looked into. And here the literary product is seen as self-sufficient and autonomous. To see the thing in itself as it is, as Matthew Arnold says. So if objective criticism is constructive response and is based on facts rather than emotions and personal preference, then the opposite of objective criticism would be subjective criticism. Objective criticism is, constructive feedback, we said, which uses only unbiased opinions and facts. It is a great way for people to professionally and tactfully suggest improvements to others without making it personal, without making it subjective. Now let's look at the difference between objective criticism and subjective criticism. Objective criticism intends not to be malicious and desires to motivate, encourage, and suggest improvement. It does not include personal attacks or negative language. Instead, uh, it includes facts, facts that are visible and cannot be disputed. Objective criticism is unbiased and is based upon reason rather than emotion or personal preference. And exactly opposite to that is subjective criticism, which relies heavily on opinion and tends to include negative language. Subjective criticism is very biased because it is based on emotion and personal preference. And it can come across as harsh and disrespectful than objective criticism. If expressive criticism can be seen in biographical criticism or Freudian analysis or romanticism, then objective criticism is synonymous with new criticism. Art for art's sake is also an offshoot of objective criticism. And new criticism includes practical criticism, textual criticism, close reading, and all those things. So we see that new criticism has dominated the literary scene for more than the past 50 years. New criticism posits that every text is autonomous, and history, biography, sociology, psychology, author's intention, and readers' private experiences are all rendered irrelevant in new criticism. It argues that each text has a central unity and the responsibility lies with the reader to discover this unity. As usual, I have some easy peasy multiple choice questions for you, dear students. Please go through it. And I hope this session was helpful to you all, and I'll see you in the next session. Till then, take care and stay safe.